Should we talk about the Facebookening of Oculus?
Yes, I think so. I think it's a good thing to spread the word. Oculus will soon require all of its virtual reality headset users to sign up with a Facebook account. They've been pushing the Facebook stuff a little bit further and a little bit further for a long time, and this seems like the ultimate step over the line. Oculus says it will start removing support for separate Oculus accounts in October of 2020. So not only are they not grandfathering necessarily, they are fully removing it. If you are an existing Oculus user and choose not to merge your accounts, you can continue using your Oculus account for 2 years, and then that's it. The mandated switch from Oculus ID to Facebook accounts will begin in January 1st, 2023, and older devices will still function in an offline capacity. So that, I mean, at least that's, they didn't screw you over in that tiny small sector.
In
so
an
that's
offline
cool.
capacity? Like, okay, sure.
Gone are the days of making a private, unidentifiable username. Pretending to be anyone isn't allowed, which is Facebook's real name policy.
That's a quote.
Yeah.
Pretending to be anyone isn't allowed.
Yeah. It's because it's attached to Facebook, you now have Facebook's rules somewhat applied to your Oculus stuff, because you have to have a Facebook account, and there are certain rules that go along with that. So that's automatically being carried over. So that is a bit of an issue. The new changes apparently consolidate Facebook's management of its platforms. A new privacy policy will be administered by Facebook itself, not the separate Facebook Technologies hardware subsidiary.
This one that's coming, this is brutal.
Yeah. Facebook also locked in headset voice comms behind a Facebook account. You can't use an Oculus account for social functions anymore. This is a little bit of a side. No console or connected gaming service has ever required its users' social network or even its wholly owned email products to function, with the exception of Google Stadia, which launched with the requirement of a Google account. Yeah, this is super rough. And the device did not launch with it either, which is pretty important.
Yeah.
One could argue that this almost completely eliminates Oculus as an option for enterprise VR. Yeah, the only VR segment that's still consistently growing. VR has done very well during the pandemic. In general, just VR across the board has done very, very well. And satisfaction with their VR purchases, I think, has also been much stronger during the pandemic. People are stuck inside. They're going to spend more time working with the device, making sure that they get it going, because they're stuck inside anyways, so they might as well. So I think that has directly led to that. I think VR has been really, really strong as of late, which is great. And this doesn't help it. So while it is worse, it is not worse. It is more expensive. I would strongly recommend an Index, because they're great. Yeah. And you don't need a Facebook account. And all your social interactions and your voice chat isn't piped with your Facebook account.
Look, Vive Pro still exists. I've never actually reviewed one of their products, but I've heard from happy users. Pimax also still exists.
There are other options out there.
Yep.
It's time to get off the ship.
Time to explore them. This is really, really unfortunate. I mean, the idea, because for a lot of people, VR is not about gaming at all. Like, it's about applications like VR chat consistently. When I fire up my headset and I look at the Steam, whatever that interface is called, where you're like standing in the big fancy living room, you know what I'm talking about, Luke, right? Mm-hmm. What's that called? I can't remember.
I don't remember.
Doesn't matter. It's irrelevant. Yeah. The point is, it shows you the top current applications for VR. It's like always VR chat. Like always VR chat.
And that will completely change for people with forced connected. I mean, people are just going to make fake accounts. But it is technically against Facebook's terms of service. So then you're like risking your, I was going to say your Oculus account, but that's not even what it is anymore.
Yeah, just your, I don't, what are they going to do, right? Are they going to brick your headset? Like, I don't know. I don't think they've ever really done anything like that, but I just, oh man. And you know what? The crazy thing is, you and I are all doom and gloom about this, but it's probably not going to matter. The vast majority of the people who buy one of these are probably just going to be like, just like the T's and C's that you go through when you buy a new washing machine or whatever, a new printer. You know when you buy a printer, right? Like, you go through your initial setup. It's like, do you accept the end user license agreement? I don't read that. Not like, who cares? Like, I think most people, like most consumers, would see a device like this as about as likely to contain a horrendous privacy policy as a printer. And in fact, they might not even necessarily realize that Oculus by Facebook is like, no, really, like that Facebook. Like, watch out.
Yeah.
It's got a microphone on it. It's got like your movements. They'll know how tall you are. Isn't that great data for Facebook to have? All of a sudden they can start advertising clothing to you that's like your size.
They already do a lot of clothing advertisement. I'm having a hard time finding the exact quote that I'm hoping to find. But I did find this quote back from when Facebook bought Oculus. Oculus already has big plans here, so that won't be changing, and we hope to accelerate them, wrote Zuckerberg, outlining plans to keep Oculus as an independent entity under the Facebook umbrella.
There's probably a WAN show
not so much
from that time where you and I were like, doubt it.
Yeah.
There's no way we didn't say doubt it.
I really want to find this because I feel like it was. Oh, is this it? I think I just found it.
This is brutal.
There's a post on Road to VR. Here's where Facebook guaranteed users would never need a Facebook account to use Oculus headsets. I've been thinking this whole time that there was a quote where they said you would never need a Facebook account to use a Oculus product, but like I can't say the quote because I don't exactly remember it and I don't have a reference, but I'm hoping Road to VR will have this. I'm gonna send you this article if you want to do screen stuff.
Brutal. Sure.
Not only did I find the original quote, which is from 6 years ago on Reddit, Palmer Luckey at the time was an employee, not anymore. He said, I guarantee that you won't need to log into your Facebook account every time you want to use the Oculus Rift. This was on a post called The Future of VR. I didn't read it, but I'm assuming they complained about the fact that Facebook was buying them, and it got downvoted into oblivion. Now, there's been an update from Palmer Luckey because he made that quote, right? So people called him a liar now that it is happening. And he responded by directly saying, I am already getting heat from users and media outlets who say this policy change proves I was lying when I consistently said this wouldn't happen. And this wasn't like, I'm fairly certain that Reddit quote was not the only time he said that. Because like I probably saw that Reddit quote back in the day, but this was like ingrained in my mind. I remember this was a very important thing during the acquisition, and I'm sure it was said other places as well. So he said, I was lying when people were saying I was lying when I consistently said this wouldn't happen, or at least that it was a guarantee I wasn't in a position to make. I want to make clear that those promises were approved by Facebook in that moment and on an ongoing basis. And I really believe it would continue to be a case for a variety of reasons.
In hindsight,
he's going to address that. In hindsight, the downvotes from people with more real world experience than me were definitely justified. So he's kind of accepting that point now. A few examples below so people won't make up their own version of what I actually said. He said, I guarantee that you won't need to log into your Facebook account every time you want to use an Oculus Rift. He said you will not need a Facebook account to use or develop for the Rift. He said, nope, that would be lame. And he said, I promise. And he's putting on record that, yes, he did say all those things and they were approved by Facebook at the time. So yes, they have absolutely gone back on a major previous promise that people bought products based on, I guarantee it. And I personally think that's a major issue and could even potentially come down to a legal issue.
They might even be pricing in a class action lawsuit here.
Maybe.
Like, I mean, realistically, if I'm Facebook, I'm looking at it going, well, I don't know, whatever. How many Rifts did we sell? Okay, whatever. Right? Like, okay,
especially when compared to the future of where VR is like basically inevitably going to end up, where they're going to sell way more Rifts, and they want to have the Facebook account shoved down your throat.
Yep. Yeah. I mean, this is one of those things where I'm surprised it took this long for them to make that bet, because the sooner they reverse their course, the better off they'd be. If you think about it, less cost for fewer Oculus devices out there, and more data. So yeah, doesn't surprise me at all. Good job, Zuck. Love you, dude. Love you, dude.
That's disappointing.
Good guy.
One extra thing that I want to jump back on with the Oculus topic is another promise that was made. I'm going to assume at the time it was approved by Facebook, but I don't have direct comment about that. But he made a quote, says, "We are not going to track you, flash ads at you, or do anything else invasive."
Was this Palmer again?
That was Mr. Palmer.
Mr. Lucky.
Facebook has already confirmed to be tracking your activity, tracking the activity of Oculus users, to inform them of advertising that is shown to those users outside of the headset. So that's already happening.
Yeah, okay. Well, that's nice.